Hello there, fellow Scorpios. Thank you so much for being here for your monthly in-depth tarot video forecast. I do have, or excuse me, this is for the month of June, and I do have the month broken down into two increments. So the first one we're going to look at is June the 1st through the 14th, and then after that we'll come back and we'll look at the 15th through the 30th at the end of this video. So let's just jump right in. The first card that I have does talk to me about our environment during this time frame, and it looks to me like there's something going on where there are things going on that are sort of off the cuff, that are not necessarily well planned out, that things are just happening in a much more spontaneous way in our environment right now. I kind of like that idea, something happening spontaneously or organically. There's not a lot of strategy behind it. Okay, next thing that we're looking at, fellow Scorpios, talks to me about our subconscious leanings, and our subconscious is really focused on manifestation right now. You know, reaching for those goals, reaching for those dreams that we have, and, you know, how do we get there? And so our subconscious is really working on that at this moment. Now, the next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about two different things. This is going to be learning style and also communication style. So I feel like we have a whole lot of information coming at us, and it's all well-grounded information, and there's enough of it coming at us that this would keep us busy learning things for way more than a month. But I think we're picking up a lot of really good, solid, grounded information right now. Now, as far as our communication style, I think that when we're communicating really passionately, but I do think that we're also taking some downtime as far as communication goes, where we're not so much saying anything, and maybe even we're feeling a little bit protective of ourselves and especially of our emotions, of our hearts. And so really trying to be careful to not put ourselves in a more vulnerable position than what we actually want to with our communication. So not sharing, being careful about what we're sharing and what we're not sharing. All right, next thing we're looking at does talk to me about work. So with work, it looks like there are a lot of different opportunities in front of us during this time frame, Scorpio, and I think that we are looking at, okay, well, which thing would be the best for me to prioritize and follow first? And I think we're working on feeling our way through that, trying to feel, what's actually going to make us the happiest to follow through with. Next thing that I want to look at talks to me about that part of our personality which is being grown or expanded right now. This is funny. This lines up with astrology really well. Just talks about that we're growing our support network, we're growing our associates, we're doing a lot more networking, meeting people, making friends, enjoying time with friends, and enjoying time meeting new people. That's where we're growing and expanding right now. Next thing that I'm looking at talks to me about those things that we stand for. For those of you who have not been here for a video like this before, this is something that somebody has come to us and asked us to explain or possibly even confronted us on. And so we are standing for whatever this is we're explaining or being confronted on. Now the next thing I'm going to look at right after that is going to be how this person that has come to us for an explanation or a confrontation, how they feel once they've heard that explanation or once they've interacted with us in that confrontation, how they feel about us and how they feel about that situation that we're defending. Okay, so it looks like there has been some kind of dispute or argument between ourselves. I feel like this is between ourselves and between somebody else in our sphere of influence. And so somebody is probably saying to us, why are you arguing with that person? It doesn't do you any good. They never listen. Or why are you arguing with that person? Whatever. Somebody is confronting us about this. Why are you letting yourself be drawn down into that level? And how they feel after we have talked to them about this situation, whether it's a confrontation or an explanation, either way, they feel like we're actually standing down. They feel like we have been through, experienced this argument or this debate, and now we're detaching. Now we're stepping back. So this basically tells me that there was somebody that we were, not on the same page with, and that, there were things that were said, and that after these things that are said, now we're detaching. So this kind of tells me that somebody has shown us their true colors in a way that we really didn't expect to happen. And so now we're pulling back. We want to think about this situation. We want to figure out, do we even belong in this situation? And if we do, like, what is our position in this situation? So we're taking a break. That's how they see us, as we're taking a break afterwards, after this debate or argument. Next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about the lesson or experience of the time frame. And so what I'm seeing is that we are making some kind of plans for the future. They could be travel plans, but they don't have to be. But, something more for the long-term future. We're looking down the road at what we want to do for plans. And I think that as we're looking down the road at those plans, we're realizing that we're kind of on our own with this. There's not anybody else that's coming along and, building this plan together with us, that this is our plan. And as we're realizing that, and as we're making these plans, I don't see us spending a whole lot of time thinking these plans out, and strategizing for months and months. I think we're going to make these plans, and we're going to take some action on those plans very quickly. And then how I see us at the end of this time frame, we're showing up as being a little bit annoyed, a little bit perturbed with somebody. And I think that we're not really mincing any words on this. I think we're letting them know. I do think we're letting them know in a professional way, but I do think that they've got the idea pretty quickly. It feels to me like this is more or less a business matter, and this may be, that we've reached out to a company to let them know, you said your product was going to do da 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 da, and it only does D to D, and we want that fixed. That's what it feels like to me. It feels like some kind of an annoyance with something that was promised to us. I don't think by a person, but something that was promised to us, and having that annoyance of, this is not working the way I was told it was going to work, and going through that, okay, what do I do now? And then taking action and seeing where it goes. Okay, so that's where I feel like the sense of annoyance or frustration is coming in once we get to the end of the month. Now, obviously, that's not a permanent thing. It's just temporary. And of course, these are general readings too, so not everything I say is going to apply to every single Scorpio just because I see it on the table here. And we all have free will, so we can change the outcome by changing some decisions along the way as well. Okay? So let me wrap up the first half of June, fellow Scorpios, and when I come back, we're going to hit the second half. See you soon. Here we are again, Scorpios. This time we're looking at the 15th through the 30th of June. Let's just jump right in. What we have showing up for your environment is that you're not feeling very satisfied or happy with your environment. There are some things that you're looking at that you are thinking of ways to improve them because you're not happy or satisfied with it. Whenever we look at your subconscious leanings, it looks like you are focusing on work, 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 work. How can I make work better? How can I perfect work? How can I be more efficient? How can I be better at what I do? Your subconscious is really working on all of that type of thing. The next thing that we're looking at does talk to me about learning style and also communication style. So when we're looking at learning style, it feels to me like learning is kind of a peaceful, easy flowing thing right now. So whether you're finding out things just because you want to know about them in a more self-directed way, or if you are finding out things, because your company wants you to take a workshop or a seminar, I just feel like the information is just flowing easily. I feel like, like I can breathe really well. So whatever it is that you're learning about, I think, is actually having a very refreshing impact on you. As far as your communication style, I do feel like your communication is very solid, very grounded. I don't think people have to wonder what it is that we're talking about, Scorpio. I think that we're very clear on what it is that we're talking about, and I don't think that we're being fickle with what we're saying. We're not changing anything about this. Okay? Now, next thing I'm looking at does talk to me about work. So I will tell you that what we have coming up is the Moon card. So this has a lot to do with reflection. For me, this would be doing readings, but I know that a lot of us Scorpios are actually light workers and practitioners. But for those of you who are not in this field of work, this just talks about doing some reflection, doing some deep inner looking at what's important to us and what makes us tick. Okay, so work really is reflection. We're doing a lot of reflection during this time frame. So if we're doing that and it has to do with work, we may be actually looking at, is this work that I'm in the work that I want to be in for the rest of my life or for the next 2 weeks or whatever. I think we're doing some reflecting on work and what is an appropriate fit for us and what isn't. Okay? Now, the next thing that I have showing up talks to me about that part of our personality that's growing and expanding at this time. I think there's something going on where we know that we could make some changes that would improve things, and yet we are resisting those changes for whatever reason. And I think that we are finding new ways to resist those changes or give excuses for not doing whatever this change is. The next thing that we have coming up talks to me about that thing that we stand for during this time frame, and then we're going to look at how the other person sees us. So what do we stand for during this time frame? Responsibilities. We're picking up more responsibilities and carrying them quite well, actually. For me, this is a card that talks about picking up responsibilities that other people might consider burdens, but because we love what we're doing, we don't consider this a burden. We actually enjoy picking up those new responsibilities. Now, after we've explained ourselves to somebody else, what they think is they think that we will eventually get a payoff from whatever these responsibilities are that we're picking up, but they think it's going to go pretty slow. They're not expecting us to see a payback very soon. Okay? Now, the next thing that I'm looking at does talk to me about the lesson or experience of this time frame. There is something that we're walking away from that was making us feel depleted. And so whatever this is, now we're tired of feeling depleted. We're walking away so that we can find something that actually feels better to us when we put our energy and effort into it. At the same time that we're walking away from this thing that made us feel depleted, it does look like we're tired, we're worn down. We're sort of in defense motion or mode, or we're kind of in self-replenishment mode. That's what I want to say. We're in self-replenishment mode. For me, just to give an example of self-replenishment mode, that's when I go out and I take a hike, and I don't literally I take a hike, and I don't worry about answering the phone. I don't worry about returning texts or Facebook messages or phone calls, because it's me time. It's time to replenish myself from everything that I'm giving to the world. I have to step away and take some time for me to sort of gather myself back together and get grounded again. That way I can be ready to go out and give to the world again. So that's just, an example in my everyday life of what this would be like for self-replenishment. Doesn't mean that that's what works for you, but I'm sure you have some kind of rituals that you do for yourself for self-replenishment. Now, also at the same time as we're doing this self-replenishment, we are coming to a new understanding of something. So as we're taking that downtime to sort of to breathe and to think for ourselves, not just to think for everybody else around us that we're serving, we get a new understanding of something that we didn't really totally get until just now. And so this is one of those light bulb goes on aha moments that shows up during this time frame. And then what comes out of this? Where are we at the end of the month? We're at a place where we're realizing that we need to take better care of ourselves, and I think we're committing to do better self-care as we move forward once we're coming to the end of the month of June. Okay, so that's what I've got for the month for us Scorpios. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for liking this video and sharing it with other Scorpios who may benefit from it, or those who are interested in keeping an eye on their Scorpio for the Scorpio Cross Watchers. And then, of course, also thank you to those of you who are ordering private readings and private Reiki sessions, and those of you who do super chats whenever I come in and to go live. I appreciate all of you guys' support in whatever form that you give it to me. It is because of all of you guys that I'm able to do what I love to do for my living. So thank you very much. And everybody have a fantastic month. If I don't see you here for a private, which I'm looking forward to seeing you here for a private, either a Reiki session or a reading, then I'll see you guys back on the next video. Peace out.